High on Life is a huge game. Maybe not playtime wise compared to some others, but there's definitely a bigger world to explore than just the areas where we take on bosses. And with a game as self-aware as this one, you know there's going to be some wicked details inside. So that's what we're exploring today. Let's do it. And be sure you let me know in the comments what your favorite weapon from the game is. In a 10 secret boss. The first boss you take on in High on Life is Ninetorg, who stole Knifey and is meant to be kind of your introduction to bounty hunting. However, part of the story is that Ninetorg is always in conflict with her clones, which are other numbered Torgs. After you defeat Ninetorg, 5 Torg, who she recently captured and was interrogating as you stepped into the battlefield, I guess, is dropped down, still being tied up. You can't really free her, but she says that she can free herself, but no matter what, you can still actually kill her. Yeah, if you attack her, you can see a health bar appear on the top of your screen. Even though she's tied up and can't actually do anything, she's still going to try to persuade you not to kill her, even though she does so in a pretty aggressive manner that just makes you want to do it more. It's important that you ignore what she's saying though, because you know, you gotta finish the job. Once you start something, you gotta finish it. But yeah, there's no real repercussions for killing 5 Torg, but as soon as you do kill 5 Torg, Kenny will acknowledge that the two of you have killed the secret boss, which is kind of cool, and it's a great start to like the meta-breaking commentary that Kenny and the others provide throughout the game. And at 9, speedrunning. Okay, I think we all know about speedrunning. The what I would call honestly art of breaking a game and then taking certain paths or choices or shortcuts to make you get to an ending with the fastest time possible. I feel like game devs remember speedrunners when making games, but most don't really put in secrets for them since they wouldn't really pay attention to them since, you know, you're flying through the game at top speed. Well, with a game that breaks the meta as much as this one, and one that has a clippy knockoff installed in your bounty hunter suit, you know that there's going to be a couple of nods to things that are happening outside of the game. Like, if you take a particular path while speedrunning. If you do take this certain path, your Microsoft Assistant reject will ask you if you are speedrunning the game. They'll admire it, say that you're absolutely allowed to do so, and then actually wish you luck, saying that they hope you get a world record. But it's also kind of creepy when you realize that, you know, they're talking about what you're doing outside of the game. And it also kind of makes him wishing you luck meaningless when you realize that he said this to every other speedrunner who's done this as well. But if you want to see it for yourself, take a look at this clip from Crackling Bananas, which is how I learned about the secret.
Are you trying to speedrun? Are you speedrunning right now? That's okay, you can do that. We think that's cool. We think that's great. Good luck. I hope you get a world record.
And it ain't kaiju. There's actually a freaking Godzilla reference in High on Life, of all things. At least if you choose to summon it. When the player enters Cutie Town, if you buy the warp discs, fans of the giant kaiju will easily recognize references in the dialogue and, you know, the fact that you're destroying a town. To see this reference, players must go to Blordo's food stall and purchase a specific warp disc for Cutie Town, which is called Cutie Town, so it's fairly easy to find. But once you're there, you'll meet like a cute kind of like looking host thing who's like floating with balloons. But then as you actually investigate Cutie Town, things are going to quickly take a turn as you start realizing that as you're just walking around, you're destroying everything in sight. Yeah, this visual connection to Godzilla allows players to just stomp around the town like a giant monster and actually decimate the entire thing, adding to the variety of references in this game. But then eventually the guy that invited you in will ask you to kill him because now all of his friends are dead and he has no point in living. Yeah. Overall, fans of the Godzilla movies will appreciate this Easter egg, I'm sure, but I think everyone's gonna be pretty messed up after decimating a town full of cuties, unless you're a borderline psychopath like I am. I don't know, I choose to feel nothing sometimes, and it scares people, but there's also times where I just can't prevent feelings, despite knowing that it's my ADHD. I don't know. It's like being aware while being possessed, and then at points being able to control the ghost that's controlling you. It's a weird feeling, alright? And at 7, you're the boss. Now, interestingly enough, you can actually have different interactions with characters depending on different orders of events in the game. For example, if you end up going after Douglas before going after the Krubis bounty, you can actually become the boss of the moblets. While yes, normally if you came here first, you'd have to file some paperwork, no matter what job you said you were actually here for. If you have Sweezy, you can talk yourself into a higher position, or I guess she can talk you into a higher position. Doing this starts a pretty nuts sequence where you can have workers kiss, fight, and then you can even even demand that they kill each other. However, that one normally doesn't pan out, but it's definitely a good time that you can also use as a tool to see what you would do if you were given that power. Or maybe you can use it as a way to like vet your dates, and if you like make them play this section and then you see which ones they pick. Plus it gets rid of anyone who wouldn't play the game, because you don't want to deal with people who aren't going to play games with you anyway. Come on, let's be honest. And at 6, Mick and Rorty. While they may be incredibly popular characters, Rick Sanchez and Morty Smith aren't going to appear in every show or game despite a creator of theirs being involved. And with that being said, however, High on Life does briefly mention the pair in dialogue that can be randomly triggered by enemy NPCs. According to Destructoid, players can expect to hear the line, "There's no Rick and Morty references here. Oh, I guess that was a reference," on occasion if they get lucky. However, it seems the quote can vary depending on the enemy and encounter, with Reddit user General Mittler experiencing a longer one voiced by Ryan Ridley, a former writer on Rick and Morty. And while the art and style of High on Life is vastly different from that of Rick and Morty and Solar Opposites, it clearly builds upon the character designs of that style of animation, particularly the eyes and teeth of some of the weapons, enemies, and other NPCs. Plus, you know, you can see Rick Sanchez just blowing through everybody in Blim City. But other than some artistic similarities, the game isn't connected to Rick and Morty in any obvious way. Halfway through into number 5, An Hour. As players infiltrate the G3 cartel by pretending to be a new recruit, they are required to watch a series of strange orientation videos. In one of these videos, as you're going towards the Douglas bounty, the player is told to sit in the room for an hour as a test of patience. However, the player's guns encourage them to find a way out of the room and actually like escape instead of waiting the hour, which is understandable. While it is easy to escape by crawling through a hole in the wall, there is a secret Easter egg for those who are patient enough to wait the full hour. The screen will turn back on and play a short video mocking the player for sitting in the room and doing nothing for so long, and then the recruiter, who is Douglas, will sarcastically say, "What an achievement, kudos to you, hope you felt like it was worth your time." And after that, the door is slowly opened, allowing for the player to continue the game. Or at least that's how it's supposed to go, since the door actually fails to function and breaks, causing you to have to go around the other way anyway. Unless you wanted to wait the full week that it would take for the repair guy to arrive. But if you do that, you won't have enough food or water to actually survive, or at least in game you won't have enough. But also, that room is just a box, so even if you did wait and it did go through, you wouldn't be able to continue. Just go the shortcut way, just do it right away. In at 4, Lazy Design. High on Life is a game that is just filled with self-referential humor. The characters often make jokes about the gameplay or design elements, and they even poke fun at the player's decisions. However, there is one joke that stands out in particular. In the Port Terrine world, which is themed around a Wild West desert town, players can find a doorway that is blocked by boxes. When players try to enter it with, their gun, Kenny will comment on the lazy level design. This joke is a nod to video game critics, obviously, and the way that they sometimes criticize games for having uninspired level design or just like stupid ways of blocking off certain areas. But overall, High on Life is a game that doesn't really take itself too seriously, and it's focused on delivering laughs for the players. But still, calling out critics who are going to be reviewing your game is it's a move. It's a move. If you get the wrong ones who are reviewing that, they're gonna be mad. But I respect it. I respect it. I respect calling out the haters, because I do it all the time. Getting close to the end, into number 3, Douglas's suit. While there are benefits to going after Douglas before going after Krubis, that being becoming the moblet boss like I talked about earlier, if you do go after Krubis first, you can fight another secret boss when going after Douglas. You see, you can get the Gatlian known as Gus from Krubis, which honestly has a better memory and BS sensor than I do, since while working your way towards Douglas, Gus starts really enjoying the presence of Dr. Joopy, the squid that you're helping to get to Douglas so that he can rescue his family. But after a couple of stumbles on his kids' names, Gus realizes that Dr. Joopy is full of shit. Gus tells you that you should trust him and to shoot Dr. Joopy, which if you do, the game will reveal that it's actually Douglas. But Kenny will remind you that you do need to get the body in order to actually get the bounty. So when you get to the boss chamber, Douglas is already dead, but you end up fighting his suit. Yeah, you fight his sentient suit with Douglas's head slumped over inside. The game even says that the boss is Douglas's suit instead of Douglas, which I think is a pretty cool secret boss and Easter egg that most people probably missed. But that's also because you need to complete the first half of the last puzzle first so that you're given the option to shoot Joopy, because then he comes out halfway through and doesn't go all the way instantly. If you end up completing like the last part and then you connect it all at once, you miss this option. But ultimately, in at number 2, Fallout. One thing about Bethesda games that annoys me to my core is the inability for kids to die. I mean, yeah, sure, okay, it can be messed up, but I mean, like, when a freaking dragon attacks Whiterun and Braith doesn't run into a nearby house, why the hell is she able to survive? Okay, she doesn't deserve it either. It always gets modded out of the games, and honestly, if you're gonna have a mature rating anyway, what's the point of keeping that feature in? But one of the first locations that the player visits in High on Life is the Blim City slums. To get there, you need to pass through a security gate and a massive drainage pipe filled with a whole bunch of injured or worried NPCs, which is just basically a long loading screen, which I realized when I was playing, which is kind of interesting. But anyway, one of these NPCs is a child, which will directly confront you after you get through the loading screen tunnel portion and will encourage you to actually shoot them by calling you fresh meat and just overall being a dick. Kenny will tell you not to actually shoot them, but if you try to enough, you will be able to shoot the kid if you choose to do so. The action earns you the achievement of Fallout doesn't let you do this, which is great. In the first two Fallout games, players could kill the kids in the game and even earn the title of child killer if they killed too many, but then this led to the games being banned in Europe. So later entries in the series and then the Elder Scrolls would not let you actually do so, which can explain the decision, I guess. But High on Life allows players to make this moral choice. And you know what? It doesn't matter if you do or not because it's not even a kid. It gets revealed like not even a minute later that he was actually 30 years old. And finally, in at number 1, Breaking Bad. As players explore Blim City and High on Life, they are encouraged to look around vertically as well as horizontally using tools like magnet boots and jetpacks and your awesome grapple knife. But in one section of the city, you actually can come across just a full-on pizza resting on a roof. This out-of-place meal is likely a reference to an iconic scene from Breaking Bad, in which the protagonist throws a pizza onto a roof of his house in frustration. The scene was a popular meme, so it makes sense that High on Life would reference it with comedic sensibilities. And I mean, considering how the game is called High on Life, and the whole premise of the game is that humans are being turned into alien drugs, I guess it would make sense for them to reference Breaking Bad. Or maybe it's supposed to be that just like it's a metal roof and then someone broke their oven and it was really hot outside that day. But the grease slide on the roof points to it being a reference to that, although there's not typically grease on the bottom of pizza crusts in my eyes, or at least not the ones that I eat, but oh well. And if you want to see more about what I'm eating, be sure you click the video that's about to pop up on your screen. That can end really poorly for me depending on which one comes up, but oh well! Thanks for watching.